欢迎收看《家国纵横》，我是康凯。我们经常听到有投资者被诈骗的消息。安省证监会指出，骗徒的手法层出不穷，难以识破。那么，投资者可以怎样防止受骗？安省证监会投资者办公室总监弗莱明早前接受了本台的专访，介绍证监会为投资者以及安省的资本市场提供了多项的服务，包括官方网站也提供了中文、粤语、普通话的版本，解释那些不法之徒行骗的手法，让公众加以提防。
We're delighted to host Mr. Tyler Fleming, Director of the Investor Office at the Ontario Securities Commission, an independent agency of the Government of Ontario. Tyler, thanks for coming on.
Hello, Neho. Nice to be here.
So, Tyler, can you tell our viewers a little bit more about the OSC and how it might be relevant to them?
Sure. So my name is Tyler Fleming. I lead the investor office at the Ontario Securities Commission. The Ontario Securities Commission, or the OSC, is the government agency responsible for overseeing the capital markets and the investment industry here in Ontario. We are an independent agency of the government. We're responsible for helping ensure investor protection, fostering fair, efficient, and competitive capital markets, and contributing to capital formation and the prevention of systemic risk, the reduction of systemic risk. In the investor office, our role is to engage with investors, to educate them about their finances, to reach out, to meet with investors where they are, and provide them important information on how to protect against fraud and get smarter about money.
Right, and many of our viewers are probably hearing OSC for the first time. What is the OSC doing to reach more diverse audiences?
So we know we need to meet people where they are, and that includes reaching out to people who may be new to Canada or speak languages other than English and French. And so we do actually a lot of activity to reach those investors. We engage in outreach events with various community groups. We have met with the Chinese Professionals of Canada, the Monchong Foundation, and the Ottawa Chinese Community Centre recently, just to give a few examples. We also produce a lot of our educational materials in multiple languages. We have a website called investingintroduction.ca. It's available in 22 languages, including traditional and simplified Chinese. And again, we have a lot of outreach events with members of the Chinese community.
Right, and we're hearing a lot of fraud stories on the news lately, and it seems to be increasing. Is there any statistic that you can share with us?
Yeah, well, fraud, it's definitely something we see a lot of. And I should say that when someone's a victim of fraud, it can have devastating impacts. It can affect people's financial health, but also their emotional, their mental, and their physical health. It's really devastating. During the pandemic, we did see an increase in frauds and scams targeted at people here in Ontario. There are a variety of different frauds that we often see that I should mention for your audience that are important to be aware of. So one type of fraud that we see a lot of is something called Affinity Fraud. This is where someone approaches you from your community group. It might be a cultural organization, it might be a religious affiliation, or through friends and family, and they gain the person's trust before trying to perpetrate the scam or the fraud. Last year, I should say, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, it reported that Canadians lost over $381 million to fraud. And we know that fraud is an underreported crime. That is just a small part of what's out there. So we really want to educate people and help them protect their finances.
And there seems to be a lot of frauds that are targeting the Chinese community. Is there any, can you tell us a little bit about these frauds?
Sure. So I mentioned affinity fraud. That's something we see a lot of, where someone approaches a victim through shared networks, friends, family, or organization. Another common fraud and scam that we see that impacts the Chinese community is what's called a grandparent scam. Now, you may have heard of this in the news. There's been some very sad cases. This is where someone phones a grandparent, a grandfather, grandmother on the phone, says that they are, for instance, your grandchild. They're in trouble with the law, and they need money sent to them to get out of jail or to get out of trouble. They often put pressure on the person on the phone, who might not necessarily recognize the voice, but say it's their relative. They will say, "Don't talk to my parents," or don't tell so-and-so, please just keep it to yourself. And that way they gain your trust, they put pressure on the person, and they seek money from you right away. So that's something we see a lot of as well.
So these seems to be really serious crimes. What does the OSC do to stop these potential fraudsters?
So the OSC has an enforcement branch, which is responsible for investigating and addressing issues of fraud and misconduct. We also work very closely with law enforcement partners here in Ontario, including the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Ontario Provincial Police, and local police agencies such as Toronto Police Service and York Region Police Service. So we work very closely with our law enforcement and policing partners to really address fraud because, again, it has such a devastating impact on people. There's always someone trying to separate you from your money. And I should say it can happen to anyone, right? Sometimes we think it might not happen to us, but we see so many stories where the fraudsters, they're always thinking of new ways to get at you and your money. And so we always need to stay on top of it.
Right, and another thing is the crypto investments have been in the news a lot lately, and a lot of companies have filed for bankruptcy protection, and people have been defrauded. What is the RAC doing to protect people who want to invest in the crypto?
So crypto is an area where there's been a lot of attention in recent years and a large number of new investors in crypto assets, cryptocurrencies, and the like. There's been a significant market increase and more recently a decline, but with all the attention, it is something that we know the public is interested in and asking questions. So we undertake a lot of education on what crypto is, what some of the terms are, how to trade it, and also really highlight the importance of only working with registered crypto platforms in Ontario. There are 8 crypto firms that are registered to sell crypto here in Ontario. It's really important that people work with those registered firms because that gives you the protections of regulation. It means we know who they are, we know what they're doing. There is regulatory protection in case something goes wrong and you need to get your money back. So we encourage everyone to always work with a registered platform, and we can provide that information if you call our contact center. It's also available on our website. I should say you can reach the OSC. You can look us up on the internet, look for Ontario Securities Commission. Our phone number is also 1-877-785-1555. Give us a call and we can help you out.
Right, thanks for giving the number. And with so many potential frauds, what can people really do to avoid these frauds?
So there's so many different types of frauds, but we always say there are some common red flags of fraud or warning signs that tend to be common throughout different types of fraud. So it doesn't really matter what the product is, what the particular fraud. There are some key warning signs, which I'll give you right now. So number one, if you're being pressured to buy or make a decision on the spot, that's a big red flag of fraud, right? Legitimate investment opportunities don't require you to make an emotional, quick decision. They'll let you take the time you need to consider your decision and make the right choice. If you feel that you aren't permitted to do your homework, again, you always need to do your research. So if someone is saying trust them, you don't need any info, you don't need to find out, that is a red flag of fraud. I would also say that if someone's offering you what seems to be insider information that is, closely held and it's a hot tip that you can act on, just remember that insider trading is illegal here in Ontario. And so if someone is offering you an investment opportunity based on insider information, that's a big red flag. And then the last thing I'll say, number 4, is that if someone's promising you high returns with little to no risk, that is a big red flag of fraud as well. Generally, higher returns come with higher risk. So if someone's saying, you can get 10, 12, 15% return with no risk or little risk, big red flag. Those are generally fraudulent scams.
And what resources does the RAC have for our audience to better understand investing, personal finance, and fraud?
So our website, getsmarteraboutmoney.ca. Again, getsmarteraboutmoney.ca. It's Canada's most visited financial education website. It's got hundreds of tools, articles, calculators, budget worksheets, etc. To help people with their finances. It's in English and French, but we also have some Chinese language brochures and information on the website. Again, I would also remind viewers to check out our investingintroduction.ca website. Again, it's investingintroduction.ca. It's available in 22 languages. There's a lot of information there on investing in Ontario, who the OSC is, warnings about frauds and scams, and it's available in Mandarin and Cantonese.
Right, and our audience has expressed unease and concerns about the economy and how it's affecting investment. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, it's really top of mind these days. With inflation being so high, people are looking for places to get a good return to keep up on their finances. We also have seen a lot of market volatility recently and over the past several years where the markets go down a lot in a short period of time. They've recovered at other points and then they've gone down again. So it's really turbulent times when it comes to our finances. I guess I would say a few things for the audience. So number one thing we share is to try to avoid short-term volatility and stay the course. Generally, if you're investing, say, for retirement, you're investing for the long term, and you don't want to make those sudden decisions based on emotions. So take the time you need and keep focused on the long term. One way to spread out risk is to make regular investments. So don't put all your money in one basket, all your eggs in one basket at the same time. You can spread that out, and that spreads out some of the risk. And then one other thing is to consider getting professional financial advice. Advisors who are registered, who are licensed, are trained and have the expertise to help you with your finances. There's a lot of different types of advisors out there, and we have information on getsmarteraboutmoney.ca to help you find them.
And what resources does the RAC have for people who are thinking about saving for their kids' education or for people who are planning for their retirement?
So we've got a lot of resources, again, on our website, getsmarteraboutmoney.ca. Lots of resources on calculating what you'll need in retirement, advice on or information on how to save for retirement, what to plan for. If you're talking about education, we also have several calculators and tools when it comes to saving for your child's or your grandchild's education as well, planning for university or post-secondary education. There's many different life events, getting married, buying a house, all sorts of really important financial milestones in our life that we've got resources for on Get Smarter About Money.
Lastly, can you tell our audience when would someone contact OSC?
You can contact us anytime. We have a contact center, again, in 1-877-785-1555. They can help with any inquiry you have. You can also report complaints or problems to them. And even if we're not the right place, they'll help direct you to the proper place to go. Contact us anytime. We've also got many different resources on getsmarteraboutmoney.ca. Encourage you to check it out, and you can reach out to us as well.
All right, Tyler, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
以上就是本期内容。如果您想重温的话呢，可以登入城市电视网站，点击节目重温当中家国纵横的链接就可以了。我是康凯，下期节目再会。